Let's talk about how you came into this world. You did not hatch from an egg in a pond. You did not slide out of a parent. You erupted, head first, out of a honeycomb of holes embedded in your own mother's back, like a horror movie that the internet was specifically invented to be disgusted by. Congratulations, you're a Surinam toad, and your birth is the reason a certain kind of person can't look at lotus seed pods. We're going to explain all of it. You're welcome in advance. You belong to the species Pipa pipa, a fully aquatic frog found in the slow, muddy waters of South America. And you don't look like a frog at all. You look like a leaf that someone stepped on, flat as a pancake, brownish, with tiny eyes and a squared-off body. This is on purpose. You spend your life lying motionless on the bottom of murky water, looking exactly like a piece of dead debris. Your entire fashion brand is drowned floor mat, and it works beautifully, because nothing wants to eat a leaf. But before we get to the back full of babies, let's talk about how you ended up in there, which is its own piece of strange engineering. When your parents mate, they do it in a slow underwater somersault, tumbling through the water together over and over. During each loop, the female releases eggs, and the male fertilizes them and presses them onto her back with his own body. It's less a romantic dance and more a careful gluing operation, performed upside down. Let's keep it PG and just call it the world's most uncomfortable group project. And then comes the part that earned this species its nightmare reputation. The mother's backskin begins to swell. It grows up and over each egg, sealing every single one inside its own little pocket, its own personal chamber in her skin. Her back turns into a living honeycomb, dozens of eggs, each tucked into its own sealed compartment. Imagine your skin growing pockets around your future children and then closing over them. That's not a metaphor.
That's just Tuesday for your mom. Now, here's where you come in, because you are inside one of those pockets. You develop entirely within your mother's back, going through the egg stage, then the tadpole stage, all sealed inside her skin. You skip the whole tadpole swimming around a pond phase that normal frogs get. This goes on for roughly 3 to 4 months. You spend the equivalent of a school semester living inside your mother's back like a tenant who never signed a lease. Most baby animals at least get to see daylight before this. You get a sealed pod and a view of skin. And when you're finally ready, you don't hatch gently. You burst out. Fully formed, a tiny, complete toad, you push and erupt out of the pocket in your mother's back, and so do all your siblings, one after another, popping out of the holes. To a human eye, it looks like the single most disturbing thing an animal can possibly do. You've turned your own mother into a viral clip that gets reposted with the caption, "I will never sleep again." First impression of the world? Chaos and a back full of holes. After it's over, your mother sheds the used layer of backskin and goes back to looking like a flat leaf, ready to do it all again. So now you're out, a miniature version of an adult, and you sink to the bottom to start your career as a piece of living garbage. And here's your first real problem. The water you live in is dark, muddy, and nearly impossible to see in. So you basically don't bother with seeing. Instead, you have one of the strangest tools in the amphibian world. On the tips of your front fingers are tiny star-shaped sensory appendages, little branching points that feel for the faint movements of prey in the murk. You've got fingertips that work like motion detector antennas because your eyes gave up and filed for early retirement. And once those star fingers pick up a target, you strike. But you don't have a tongue. Most frogs flick out a sticky tongue to snag prey.
You skipped that upgrade entirely. Instead, you're a vacuum. You lunge forward, open your wide, flat mouth, and the sudden suction pulls water and prey straight in. You eat by becoming a living shop vac. Worm, small fish, insect, it gets sucked in before it even understands what the leaf was doing. No tongue, no chewing, just inhale and regret nothing. Let's rewind a moment, because that toolkit is older and weirder than it looks. Pipid frogs like you are an ancient, fully aquatic branch of the frog family that committed completely to life underwater. You don't hop, you don't hunt on land, and your flat body is built for one job: lie still, look like nothing, and ambush. While other frogs evolved long jumping legs and flashy colors, your ancestors looked at a pile of dead leaves and said, "Yes, that. Forever."
You are the result of millions of years of doubling down on doing absolutely nothing noticeable. So your adult life is the most low-effort existence imaginable. You lie on the bottom of a stagnant pool, perfectly still, sometimes for hours, breathing occasionally, feeling for prey with your fingertips, and inhaling anything small enough to fit. You're not lazy, you're an ambush predator. That's just lazy with a job title. When mating season comes around, the whole somersault and skin pocket horror show begins again, and another generation of babies starts growing inside a back. Your idea of a family album is a sheet of skin full of holes. And eventually, like everything in this murky water, your time runs out. You might be caught by a larger predator, a bird, a bigger fish, or simply slow down as you age. For a creature that spent its whole life pretending to be dead debris, actually becoming dead debris is barely a change of job description. You sink, finally and permanently, into the mud you always called home. You were born bursting out of a back full of holes, and you leave as quietly as the leaf you always pretended to be. Now lie still one last time.
Nobody will even notice you're gone. One honest note before we go, the Surinam toad isn't currently considered endangered, which is rare good news for this kind of video. But it depends entirely on the slow, healthy waters of the Amazon basin, and as those waterways get polluted and drained, even a master of doing nothing can't survive a habitat that disappears. A creature this strange has earned the right to keep being strange. Few animals make their own birth this unforgettable, and somehow that's exactly why people want them to stick around. Have a good night.